I mean, some people sometimes they think I have like integrity, and then they say, well, but you did Transformers, you know, what happened to you? I said, yes, but I also have to make a living, and I also have kids, and maybe they wanted me to do that. But I think, you know, I've followed my own interest, and I think that has helped me in some ways. And I think I could have made a lot more money doing other things. But then again, maybe I would have been like married 3 or 4 times and been in rehab and all those other things. So I don't know. I don't know. I follow my own interests. So I don't feel like I have an image to, I have to, I always think you have to reinvent yourself, always. And sometimes even within a part, you know, and sometimes you can get bored with yourself. You go, wow, man, I got to find something new to draw on or live a different way, you know. Right. I mean, I love doing that. I mean, I didn't think of rolling T flag fires. I just did my little crazy dance in the desert over there because we didn't have enough dancers. So me and my friend Max Casella, we did a lot of extra dancing. I was sort of choreographing. I like dancing, and I've danced in a lot of movies, and I had some training as a dancer, and I love to dance, and I like movement, period, because movement sort of brings, you know, happiness, and but that was a great experience doing that movie, because I learned about a culture, a very mixed culture. There's a lot of different elements to that culture, and it's quite complex and very old. And you know, I just love music, and it's one of those cities that was a music center, from classical, you know, to, you know, when you think about, you know, people playing guitar on the street, I think they sort of made the first mandolins and guitars, and those kind of balladeer type of singers, really, they're one of the places where that was originally born. Passione has got something in common with romance and cigarettes. I mean, and I think that's why, and I had worked in Naples doing a play, but I think they were interested in me because they had seen Romance and Cigarettes. And at first I was like, well, I'm no expert. I knew a few, you know, songs which I loved. I was just trying to avoid the cliche. It was like, you know, let's try to kill the cliche. I mean, every culture has these cliches, which, you know, some of it, there's truth to it, but it's also becomes this like nostalgic version of it, which the original version a lot of times is much more complex or ironic or whatever. So that's, you know, that particular city is a city that you can fall like madly in love with, because it's like bewitching. There's something about it that's, you know, it's hard to get your hands around. So yeah, it was difficult to do, but it was very exciting, and I think I had sort of a naivete about it. I was not coming in as a scholar of it, even though I spent a couple of years with a guy who knew everything, and I was just trying to let it hit me. And I would talk to people on the streets and do you like this, do you like that, and it was a very big learning experience for me as a person. Well, you know, if I'm going to do something, and to direct something takes a lot of time, and I have to give up a lot of other things. I want to do something that is adventurous, and that's exciting, and that is different in a way. And so, not that, you know, I'm 100% successful all the time or whatever, but I think audiences, I mean, obviously you need a really good distributor and you have to pound it into their heads and stuff, but I think down deep, you know, when I've shown like something, we just take Passione for example, you know, people, they really respond to it. Because it's a human, you know, music is universal, and that's it. And I go to the movies to see something to be surprised. And that's what I like to see. So that's what I've tried to, bring with me and bring my own sensibility to something. And that's what's exciting about it and what's educational for me, because I'm learning too while I'm doing it. But if I have the answer, I say, well, I know exactly this is how it's going to be or whatever, you want to be surprised. I mean, the movie I just did with Woody Allen, I had an impulse and I thought we would be good together. And after a couple of years of working on the script and working with him in the theater, and I think my impulse was right. And it was just a crazy impulse. I was like, what if we were together? And we were in this crazy situation. And then out of that, this very, off the cuff, zany idea between these two guys, and then they come up with a crazy idea within the story, and then it turns into something more complex and actually deeper. And I thought, and Woody encouraged me to go that way. So I was having a communication with him, he's older than me and he's quite accomplished. So that was very interesting. It was like, even though I was doing it, it was like somebody was going to your father or someone to say, well, what do you think of this? You know what I mean? And that's not so, or uncle or something, So that's, once again, that's a new experience, and I loved working with him. Differ? That's exactly what you always try to do. It's I started out in the theater. I still do theater, and I didn't, ever think I could be a guy who could play the same role. I wasn't really that interested in that, and actors that I loved. Some of them were real chameleons. Some of them maybe weren't as much, but they were certainly adventurous in their choices. So I have no image to sustain, because I don't think I do.